educate yourself as much as humanly possible as an agent, as a broker, as a leader. Educate your agents or your staff and make sure that you're educating your consumer. The confidence is going to come from competence. So when you feel really comfortable that you're doing as much as you possibly can right now going forward, you can stick with it and focus.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm your host, Matt Fagioli, and today's guest is nationally recognized, one of the top leaders in the country. And in addition to being an amazing human, she runs one of the largest real estate organizations in the country, EXIT Realty. And so please help me and welcome Tami Bonnell. How you doing?
I'm so happy to be here.
Man, I'm really glad that we finally got this conversation to happen, and I could fit myself into your busy schedule. And the timing of this conversation is interesting. Just coming off of the NAR legislative meetings in DC, tons and tons going on, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some of the personal life stuff we were talking about before the recording. But before we go any further, though, would you talk a little bit about Tami and EXIT and just talk about the organization and the team that you lead?
I think the best way to describe our organization is that it was a company built on human potential. And that's a little different in the real estate industry, I think. We literally deal with the whole person. So when it was put together with deliberate intent to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to win, no infomercials here, but probably the best definition for you to see the difference and really get a feel for that leadership and that style is that, during the recession, the worst recession since the Depression, the founder and myself and our chief operating officer were having a conversation right around 2010. This company originated in Canada, and Canada has the best banking system in the world. They didn't understand short sales. They didn't even know that this many foreclosures could possibly happen because they have a very stringent banking system. So people put more money down on properties, and it's a tougher thing to get into. So when they saw all the short sales on the books, they actually assumed that all of them were going to close because 99% of properties that go under agreement in Canada come together. So it was a whole different world facing that. And when they realized that a lot of those closings weren't going to happen and they were looking at it, we were in under huge financial pressures right around 2010. And I'll never forget it. We were in Fredericton, New Brunswick. We were sitting in a hotel lobby and we got an urgent phone call from the chief operating officer. And she said, go someplace private. So we went all the way down the hall and got on speakerphone. And she said, we probably have 90 days of money left unless we do something different. And, other than the room turning black, we all calmed down at the same time and basically said, all right, who are we as a company? And we said, we're a company built on human potential. So it's a privately held company. So we did not lay off one single person. We said, people are too valuable. We're not going to lay anybody off. If anybody takes a hit in pay, it's going to be the people in leadership, because if they benefit when things are going great, then they need to take responsibility when things aren't. And we had to literally outsell and outthink our way out of the recession. And we did, obviously, because we're still here. But what happened in that was that we created this level of trust that was just unbelievable. So people grow in an environment that they feel safe, in an environment that they feel trust. It's why we're seeing so much volatility right now, right? And so what happened is when the pandemic hit and we were sheltered in place and we reached out, not only did we not lay anybody off then either, we literally found that our people raised their hand and said, how can I help? Everybody all the way down to people answering the phone. How can I help? How can I be part of the solution? So we launched a stimulus package for our own people worth in excess of $50 million. Our trainers trained for free. We videoed into our offices. We taught Eckhart Tolle. We taught them the power of meditation, yoga, all the right practices to be into so that they could make sure that they ramped up their business and stayed focused going forward. But everybody volunteered because they felt safe. Instead of worrying about where their job was or where their security was, they felt safe. Even the structure of our company, we have a residual income formula that's very beneficial to the agent, but it's beneficial to the broker and beneficial to the regional owner too. But we didn't stop there. Money from every transaction goes into the community too. We have a program called the Spirit of Exit, so that money from every transaction goes back, and we're always fine tuning and getting input from our people. So it's now called the Spirit of Exit. And we let them pick the charity of choice in their own market because it brings the agents and the brokers closer together. It brings the community closer together. And then Exit comes in and matches the funds. When we started that program, it was just Habitat for Humanity, but we could only do 3, 4, or 5 builds a year. Last year, we touched 177 communities. And so the agents and the brokers build this culture. They get closer. They know they're giving back. Consumers want to deal with somebody that's giving back. But we took it a step further than that, even in our own organization from the very beginning. We've donated in excess of $7 million to charity, but we also make sure that the administrators in our offices, so that they feel part of it too, kind of a Ben and Jerry's philosophy, they get a love letter around Valentine's Day with a check based on the transactions that happened in the office. So instead of here's a frozen turkey, thanks for your help, they actually get a check and they get rewarded too. So it gives everybody a really strong feeling that they're part of the team. I think the most important thing in any organization is to really and truly live your mission statement. And I think that's what we do.
Well, that's such a great explanation. And, you and I had talked recently and you reminded me of the longevity of the team too. I mean, I can't remember what you told me, but it was something along the line, what's the average work span of senior leadership at Exit Realty?
The average time that an executive's been with our company is 20 years.
That's just
And
remarkable.
obviously you're attracting, it's attracting the caliber of people that you want to attract, and it's attracting them, not hunting them down. And honestly, finding the best qualified person for the job, right? We do everything from personality profiles to doing multiple interviews so that it is somebody that has that same passion, that same belief system, so that we'll be able to work together as a team and, take everything to the next level. The average employee, by the way, has been with our company for 18 years. So people don't stay somewhere that they don't feel like they have an opportunity to be able to grow. And so it's so important to give them the opportunity on a regular basis to see windows of opportunity. Where can they go to their next level? And we really focus on it so that they can grow personally and professionally.
Mm. Well, you and I have been friends for a long time, and I've always been just so impressed with how the company operates and how you treat people on the outside as well. I was a contractor and partner of Exit for many years, and it just always felt like family, even from the outside, and that just isn't true everywhere. So kudos to that. I want to turn and ask you kind of about the State of the Union a little bit, if you will. You just got back from the DC meetings. I heard, I wasn't there, but I heard that there were sparks flying in lots of areas. And, give us a little bit of perspective on just where you think we are and how, I don't know if you can give us advice on how to navigate, but just your perspective on where you think we are.
Well, I won't go into any legal sides,
Sure.
but I will tell you, there are an awful lot of people out there that are paralyzed. They're full of fear. And when you're fearful, you don't move forward. And that's not a good place to be. And a lot of this is coming from extreme distraction. We're getting, the media is putting things out there and it's, tagline sell. And so that it's creating this tremendous amount of fear. There are probably some changes that need to happen in the industry and that will happen, but real estate, everyone needs to really remember that real estate is responsible for true family wealth, and it is the biggest creator of true family wealth. And people need homes, and the majority of the population wants to work with a real estate professional. And if you look at the difference between somebody selling a home by themselves for sale by owner and somebody selling with a professional, they make much more money when they have a professional working with them. The most important thing I think for everybody to do is to not let those distractions get in the way. Educate yourself as much as humanly possible. Pay attention to all the information. There are a couple actual websites out there that are showing exactly what's going on a steady real-time basis so that they can see what's going on. And it's not scattered with all the headlines. It's not scattered with all the things that can distract you and instill fear, so that you can see what the facts are today. This is going to be long term. It's going to take a while for all of this to come together. I would take advantage. National Association of Realtors is providing people an opportunity to get their ABR designation free of charge so that they can represent buyers. educate yourself as much as humanly possible as an agent, as a broker, as a leader. Educate your agents or your staff, and make sure that you're educating your consumer. The confidence is going to come from competence. So when you feel really comfortable that you're doing as much as you possibly can right now going forward, you can stick with it and focus. I'm seeing way too many people standing on the sidelines because they've paralyzed themselves. But if they could go back to really remembering what it is they know, what they know to be right, what they know to be accurate, and focus in that direction with the intention of going forward, they'll be much better off. Thankfully, we have pent up demand. It just got posted today from the Fed that they expect to lower interest rates, and there's more inventory coming to the table. It's not probably a bad thing that if we go from 1,600,000 realtors to 1.1, and we eliminate those people that are doing 0 to 3 transactions a year that aren't staying ahead of the curve and aren't educating themselves, that's not going to be a bad thing for even the industry as a whole or the people that produce. Just keep your eye on the ball of knowing what you know and educate yourself as much as humanly possible. Don't get caught up in the fray. Don't get caught up in the fights. We're a very polarized country, unfortunately, right now, from everything from politics to business, and you've got to ground yourself. Mindset is 4 times as important as even the activities you'll do. So right now, with all this going on, you've got to really work on where your headspace is and reinforce yourself. And the best way for reinforcing is really being proactive about your education. At least you feel like you're making progress instead of standing still, and you can answer the questions to the best of your ability. That's exactly where I would stay and be.
Cool. That's really well said, Tammy. I always think about things, just my own business, or I guess my own personal economy over my lifetime. I've always thought, it doesn't really matter what's happening in government or what's happening at the macro level. I'm going to find my way to succeed. I'm going to get my transactions or my customers or whatever it is. And, I think now it's just sharpening everybody's sword out of necessity. And, the best of the best are going to do the same or grow. And, and I think you kind of touched on it, that as, the number of transaction sides is going to go up, it's going to go to a smaller group of professionals. But we're going to have a stronger year with a lower head count, is what I would predict.
I agree. And you know what I think? I would love my perfect world if I could wave a magic wand. I'd love to see this be an opportunity to make things more uniform across the country, right? The requirement for the amount of hours that you need in order to get your real estate license, the continuing ed, there is an opportunity here. And, always whenever there's something going on, that market shift, there's always an opportunity. And so to me, let's focus on the solution and not on the problem. That's my rule at Exit. Focus on the solution and not on the problem. In what way can we be part of the solution? In what way can we contribute and make this so that it's better in the long run?
Mm-hmm. There's been a conversation forever about, raising the bar on the number of hours it takes to become an agent. I've always been a fan of this idea of sort of having some sort of apprenticeship level, would kind of sort of exist, but not really. Like you can't, in most Georgia where I am, you can't be a broker for 3 years and things like that. But there isn't really this apprenticeship requirement for an agent to go, oh, I need to come walk alongside a more sophisticated agent for a period of time. We sort of launch people into the business that, the papers, the ink's not dry on their license, and they can do the same thing that any other agent can do. What do you think about in that sphere of conversation? I know it's a little bit muddy water, but
No, I actually firmly believe it's a great idea to be an apprentice or be mentored, so that there's a mentorship program within that office, or be an apprentice or be an intern, right? While you're going through school, so that you can learn the process. In Canada, there isn't an apprenticeship program. And consequently, they have fewer realtors, but the realtors that they do have make more money on average than we do in this country. And obviously there's a reason behind it. So this is an open opportunity for us to really discuss in what ways can we raise the bar so that when we come out the other side, our image is where it should be. Because, if we're responsible for so much of the GDP, if we're responsible for truly the biggest thing that shifts in creating true family wealth for people, and how much more people are worth when they own their own home compared to when they don't. And families, I think taking that responsibility seriously is important. I don't think that means that we have to go through ridiculous, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. There's that magic 10,000 hours. And if you look at professionals that have been in the business long enough and they've been through that much, because there is certainly some try, fail, adjust and building up, you'll see that those people, for the most part, do incredibly well and are willing to stay consistently learning. Isn't it funny that people that produce more and have been in the business longer want to continue getting more education, right? And I think that having some sort of a consistency all the way across would help improve the image as well.
Well, I think nobody would argue that it's a 3 to 5 year cycle, except for the absolute standout that, may have an amazing first year, which I had a very strong first year in my 20 years ago. But what I've seen of, the tens of thousands of agents that I've met in my career, that, it's 3 years or 5 years before you really see people that are going to succeed reach that kind of consistent, it used to say 6-figure income. Now I feel like it's got to be, multi 6-figure to qualify for that. But you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that it's also, if you're willing to not just be a body in an office, if you're willing to literally put in the time, and just like you mentioned, be an intern, be mentored by somebody, have that opportunity to be an apprentice for a period of time, I think you can ramp up the speed of that dramatically. But you have to be willing, right? You have to be willing to put in doing it. I can put in full-time effort into something without even having to put it through for 3 to 5 years. It's just, where am I spending my time? And what am I spending my time on? Sitting around waiting for the phone to ring, or just marketing out there to someone isn't going to make you isn't going to sharpen your sword.
Yeah. And I think, learning the process of somebody who's really honed their craft would change things for a lot of agents. And, I guess that's my, the drum I continue to beat is like, I wish.
Well, and I think that the other piece of that, because it's such a faceted business, I always recommend to everybody, find a dirty dozen, a dozen people that work on the business, not in it. Mortgage companies, appraisers, home inspectors, title companies, lawyers, insurance. Learn what's changed last year. What did they see happening in the future? What do they see for potential windows of opportunity, for potential pitfalls? But when you know everything around the whole entire transaction, it's much less likely to fall apart. Find out what's important to them, add value to their life, help them to get to where they want to be, and they'll certainly help you to get to where you want to be. And now you'll be apprised. There won't be one of those 11th hour problems, because you're really aware of all the things that are going on. And it's a great way to get really quick education.
Tell me what's next for Exit. You guys have, I think, in the top 10. Tell me that stuff. Where do you guys rank? How many states are you in? What's the plan? Like, how do you see the next 5 years of Exit?
We're across the entire country, both Canada and the United States. There's a few states, Vermont, Wyoming, that we don't have offices in right now, but our goal is to be across the entire United States and Canada, so that we're in every state and every province. We have 650 offices right now, about 25,000 agents. And the goal is to continue to grow. We're actually still, even in this crazy volatility, we're selling franchises. One of the real big windows of opportunity for us, because of the way our formula works, we're doing a tremendous amount of acquisitions. Our brokers are acquiring other companies that are out there that maybe didn't leverage technology the way they should have, or leverage the tools the way they should have, or they're getting towards that retirement age. And this gives them an opportunity. We just have to make sure that they match with our business philosophies in order to do that. But we're doing a tremendous amount of mergers and acquisitions. We're definitely selling franchises. So our goal and our focus is to stay building, but we want to attract our tribe. We want to attract the people that really do want to give back to the community, that do want to mentor other people, that do want to make sure that this is a good balance all the way around. And we're just truly focused on growth.
I'm curious what you think about this. Because of all of the legislative changes, I think that it's going to lead to faster mergers and acquisitions in the MLS area. And I wonder if that's true at the brokerage level too, where a lot of smaller brokers or maybe brokers who don't have the kind of process control that they should have are going to face all these changes and go, you know what, I think I'm going to be better served to merge or be acquired or whatever. Do you see that kind of acceleration coming?
It is already here. It is already here. And, there's a tremendous amount of people that they may not have leveraged technology the way they needed to leverage technology to connect faster, but they're also seeing all these other changes. And some of them are tired, right? There's a lot of brokers out there. 90% of brokerages in the United States have 10 agents or less. That doesn't mean there aren't a tremendous amount of giant, 100,000 person offices that are out there, but that's a tremendous amount of offices that a lot of times the top producer in that office is the broker. So a lot of times that means that it's really kind of an agent owning a brokerage, right? And they never really did the full business background. They genuinely care about their people. I can say that I've seen that consistently all the way across. They genuinely care about their people and want to see their people succeed. And I think that they're waking up to, maybe I'm not the right person to take them to the next level. A lot of them want to stay on and manage those people or guide those people. Some of them just want to list and sell real estate, and some want to retire immediately. It's like going through the recession. We saw anytime there's a market shift, going through COVID, going through the recession, a lot of people did the same thing of getting acquired because it was just a safer place to land. And, it's not a bad idea to look at what your options are so that it's really helps you to understand yourself, right? Do I want to take this to the next level? Am I willing to do whatever it takes to get there? Or would it be better off if I partnered with somebody and I brought my skills to the table and they helped my people get to that next level? And, those are all good questions for people to ask.
Cool. We kind of teed it up a little bit there by talking about understanding yourself, but I wanna out you in your personal life a little bit, because you shared with me, I guess I kind of knew this over time, but a little bit of a secret that you are reaching a very high level in your sport personally, and you're right in the middle of all that. So if you don't mind, I want you to share a little bit about that, because I'm so excited about what you were telling me.
Well, I'm in training to become a master in Taekwondo. I'm a third degree black belt. And so actually I have a test tonight. And then on the 19th, those tests are going to be long. The first one's about 3 hours, but the next one's 8 to 10 hours. It's really intense. And then I'll have to do that again in November or December, then again next May, and then December 2025. My goal before my 65th birthday is to become a master in Taekwondo. But it's, there's a tremendous amount physical right now. My hair even hurts, but there's a tremendous amount physical to it. But your body has a memory, your muscles have a memory, your mind has a memory. And I just believe so strongly in that mind-body connection. I love to fight too, don't get me wrong. I enjoy every part of the sport, but I love helping other people get to that next level. And I love the fact that the more in communication you are of understanding yourself and mastering that, understanding the way you think, understanding the way your body moves, getting it to do things that you didn't think it could. And when I test in December of 2025, I'm going to have to break 4 cinder blocks. That's about 500 pounds of pressure a block. And I don't weigh 2,000 pounds. So the reality is that it's mind over matter, right? And so it's really about me not aiming for the bricks, but aiming for the floor. And it's so important to so much of what we do, we get in our own way and we get in our own headspace. That's what happens. And this has just really helped me to stay focused in the right direction and to stay grounded. But we've done it as a family too. And that's helped tremendously. We had 3 kids that we took through Taekwondo. And so for 15 years, we had 3 times a week that it was uninterrupted time on the way there and on the way back. We didn't have any phones to pay attention to. We made them make a commitment. Everybody was good at something or something different. The best advice I can give to any parents, find common grounds. For us, it's reading and martial arts, but find common grounds so that you have things that you connect with and communicate all the time. Our kids made a commitment. And probably the best story I can tell you is the boys, when they signed up, Shane was 7 and William was 10. And when they signed up, they wanted to be Karate Kid, right? That was the whole thing that was out. And their mindset was that's all they wanted to do. And we said, if we commit to this and we sign a contract and we're going to come 3 times a week for at least 3 years in order to get your first degree, you're going to have to make that commitment. And I think it actually leads to the times we're in right now. Those last 6 months when they're a Bodan, they're a black belt in training, they're kicking the back of our seat right? Shane's almost 10, Will's almost 13. I can't believe you're making us do this. We're just kids. And we'd be talking at night. Should we be doing this? We made them make a commitment. They were so young. And, we'd have to keep coming back to each other. A deal's a deal. We made a commitment. We're going to stick with that commitment. And it was brutal that last 6 months. But think about people before that last 6 months of high school, that last 6 months of college. Right now, people owning brokerages or people that are in real estate, is it easier for me to give up than to just for me to keep going? Well, we made them stick with it. Will kicked Shane in the head during the test. It was a long test on Friday night, and then it was all day on Saturday. They each had to break a brick. Shane weighed 65 pounds at the time. So think about that, of just being able to go through a brick, and, you have to spar against people. You have to spar against imaginary opponents. You have to create your own form fighting against imaginary opponents to music. Mine this time, I have to actually do it with a couple weapons too. And my song is going to be Dream On from Aerosmith. I figured it was pretty fitting.
That's awesome.
But the point, the day after, Sunday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, we get woken up by Will, 5 a.m. And they just had this long 10-hour test the day before, 4 hours the night before. I'm just thinking somebody's hurt. Maybe Shane's throwing up because Will kicked him in the head. Just all these thoughts are going through your mind as a parent. We jump up and he sits down at the end of the bed and said, I just need to thank you for making us stick with it, because I feel the best about myself that I ever did. And I feel like I can do anything. And, parents need like one moment like that in their life to be able to keep going. And I think it's so important for people when they make a commitment. We have so much distraction, and I can tell you that this is one of the worst distractions for absolutely anybody. You've got to give yourself breaks away from it. It's stealing our focus to be able to grow, and it's creating too much chaos and too much anxiety and too much worry. If we start to have control, self-control over what we're doing with our actions, and self-control over focusing on the things, places where we can grow and where we can have strengths, every single human being is limitless. Too many people have their accent on the wrong syllable right now.
Man, that's so good, Tami. I always wondered why you were, so outspoken about mindset all the time. I'm like, man, she's a broken record on mindset. And now I have some more insight into where you get that.
Well, I think it's really important. All of us can get caught up in our own head, right? You can second guess yourself and start, I've done it because I'm testing tonight. I've tried to convince myself why I shouldn't at least 30 times today. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I know you're going to kick ass as you always do. And know why you're so successful winning franchises, because you'll kick their ass if they don't join. But Tami, thank you so much for all your time and for being with us on the podcast. And I hope you'll come back and join us again real soon.
Thank you so much. It's so great seeing you.
Yeah, man, what a fun conversation. Guys, we'll see you right back here next week, and we'll share all of Tami's information in the show notes, and we'll see you back here soon.